The dashcam rolls in the dead of night, red and blue lights strobing across a quiet Virginia road. A black Army lieutenant in crisp uniform stands outside his newly bought SUV, hands raised high, phone flashlight glowing under his chin so the officers can see his face plain as day. "I'm a lieutenant in the United States Army. I'm afraid to get out," he shouts, voice cracking with fear and fury. One cop screams back, "You should be!" Pepper spray explodes across his eyes. Seconds later, he's on the ground, knee in his back, and then the unthinkable, 2 gunshots rip through the darkness. Lieutenant Caron Nazario stumbles, blood pouring from his leg and arm. The officers scream that he reached for a weapon that never existed. Within minutes, the world thinks a decorated soldier is about to die on a lonely stretch of Route 13 in Windsor, Virginia. What happens next is the kind of justice most people only see in movies. But before I tell you how the United States military itself stepped in and turned the tables in ways nobody saw coming, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. It takes half a second, and it tells YouTube to keep stories like this coming straight to you. December 5, 2020. Lieutenant Caron Nazario is heading home from drill in his brand new Chevy Tahoe. Temporary plates are clearly displayed in the tinted rear window, exactly where Virginia law says they can be. 2 Windsor police officers decide that looks suspicious. They follow him for nearly 10 minutes, lights flashing, until he pulls into a well-lit BP gas station because he's not about to stop on a dark highway where no one can see what happens. The officers later claim they never saw the plates. Body cams tell a different story. The moment Nazario stops, everything escalates at lightning speed. Officer Joe Gutierrez is out of his cruiser screaming commands that contradict each other. "Keep your hands out the window! Get out of the car! Don't move!" Gutierrez rips open the door, Pepper, sprays Nazario directly in the face while he's still buckled in, then drags the choking lieutenant out and slams him to the pavement. Officer Daniel Crocker draws his weapon. Nazario, blinded and gasping, keeps repeating, "This is wrong. This is really messed up." Gutierrez responds by threatening to ruin his military career if he doesn't stop resisting, resistance that the video later proves never happened. Then Gutierrez gives the order to put him on his knees. Nazario, still trying to keep his hands visible, shifts his weight. Crocker panics and fires twice. One round tears through Nazario's left arm, the other shatters his right femur. The lieutenant collapses screaming as blood pools beneath him. The officers cuff him while he bleeds out on the concrete, refusing to call an ambulance for almost 8 full minutes. Only when a sergeant arrives do they finally request medevac. Nazario survives barely. The story explodes across social media when his lawsuit drops 4 months later, complete with body cam and dash cam footage that leaves America gasping. The nation is furious, but the town of Windsor circles the wagons. The officers are placed on paid leave. The police chief calls it a difficult encounter. The district attorney refuses to file charges. It looks like another case where the system will protect its own. That's when the United States Army decides it has seen enough. Behind closed doors at Fort Eustis, Nazario's chain of command is livid. This isn't just an assault on one of their officers, it's an assault on every soldier who wears the uniform. They quietly launch their own investigation, something almost no one outside the military realizes the Army has the power to do when one of their own is attacked under color of law. Military investigators descend on Windsor like ghosts. They pull phone records, radio logs, training records, even the officers' personal social media histories. What they find is damning. Within weeks, the Army presents a sealed 400-page report to the Department of Justice, marked sensitive, law enforcement privileged. Word leaks that the report recommends federal civil rights charges against both officers and accuses the Windsor Police Department of operating what one senior JAG officer calls a culture of predatory policing. The Pentagon refuses public comment, but the message is clear. You do not shoot a soldier and walk away untouched. The pressure becomes unbearable. Virginia's governor calls for an independent state investigation. The Justice Department quietly reopens a civil rights probe that had been dormant. Protesters gather outside Windsor Town Hall every weekend. Local businesses start putting "We support Lieutenant Nazario" signs in their windows. Officer Gutierrez, the one who fired the shots, suddenly retires for personal reasons. Crocker is fired outright. The town's insurance company, staring down an 8-figure lawsuit, forces Windsor to settle with Nazario for $1.25 million and to permanently disband the entire police department. Yes, the whole department. Gone overnight. The Isle of Wight County Sheriff takes over law enforcement duties, and Windsor becomes the first town in modern Virginia history to abolish its own police force after a scandal. But the military isn't done. In a move that sends shockwaves through law enforcement circles nationwide, the Army announces that every single officer who had contact with Lieutenant Nazario that night is now permanently barred from ever setting foot on any U.S. military installation worldwide. That might sound minor until you realize it includes nearby Fort Eustis, Langley Air Force Base, Naval Station Norfolk, every commissary, every PX, every military hospital in the entire Hampton Roads region. Their families lose access too. In one quiet stroke, the Pentagon turns these men and their households into ghosts on the very bases that dominate Virginia's economy and culture. And then comes the moment that breaks the internet. At Nazario's promotion ceremony to captain 6 months later, the commanding general of TRADOC steps to the podium unannounced. In front of a packed auditorium, he reads a letter from the Secretary of the Army himself. Effective immediately, Captain Caron Nazario is awarded the Army Commendation Medal for extraordinary courage under duress while upholding the Army values in the face of unlawful aggression. The citation ends with a line that brings the entire room to its feet. Your refusal to be broken that night reminded a nation what the uniform truly means. The camera pans to Nazario in his dress blues, medals shining, standing tall on a leg that still has a titanium rod in it. He salutes, tears rolling down his cheeks as 5,000 soldiers snap to attention and roar. The video of that ceremony gets 42 million views in a week. Hashtags explode, hashtag We Are Nazario, hashtag The Army Hit Back. Recruits flood Army recruiting stations in numbers not seen since 9/11. Police departments across the country quietly update their use of force policies overnight. And in Windsor, Virginia, the empty police station sits boarded up, weeds growing through the parking lot cracks, a silent monument to what happens when you cross the wrong soldier. Captain Nazario still serves today. He walks with a limp, but he walks tall. And every time some cop somewhere thinks about escalating a traffic stop into a nightmare, somewhere in the back of their mind they remember that night in Virginia when the United States Army reminded the country exactly whose streets these really are. That's the power of the uniform. That's the power of never, ever giving up. So tell me in the comments, from which part of the country are you watching this video right now? Drop your city or state below because I read every single one. And let's show Captain Nazario just how far his story has traveled. I'll see you in the next one.